Thank you, guys. Thank you. Well, let me just take a real quick poll. How many of y'all would identify yourselves as either a songwriter or a writer? Put your hand up. All right, fantastic. Are there any other disciplines present? Any visual artists? Fantastic. Dancers, potters, all right, yeah, okay. Well, I asked the question, it's not really that important because what I feel like is I'm gonna talk a lot about what I'm good at, which would be writing and songwriting and music, but I feel like the bulk of what I'm gonna talk about today is really applicable for any discipline that you might be involved with, So let's get started. I do have some notes today. How many of you guys enjoyed the Q&A last night? That always tends to be one of my favorite parts of a show. I do a lot of Q&A sessions, and sometimes they go on really long, and it always fascinates me. Because what it really shows me is how curious people are who may not even be artists themselves, but are just curious about the process. Like, how do you get there? How do you do what you do? And I don't know, I think that's a good sign for humanity that not everybody is just kind of like, I don't make pop music. I love pop music, but I do something a little bit askew of pop music. And so I'm glad that there's an audience out in the world that's looking for something other than, what's readily available anywhere. So anyways, some of my heroes in music and in art, I love Bob Dylan. If you listen to me, you don't listen to me because I'm a guitar player. It's not what I'm known for. I can play enough guitar to play my songs, but really what people listen to me for is the lyrics. I mean, that's kind of my forte, is lyric writing. I think I'm good at melody. I feel like I'm good at composition, but I don't have a JHS Pedals artist deal for a reason, Yeah. But so Bob Dylan's, my holy trinity of musician heroes would be Bob Dylan, Leonard Cohen, and this guy named Nick Cave, for those of you guys who know Nick Cave. Nick's had this incredible public transformation over the last 10 years of his life. For those of you guys who don't know Nick, I think it would be fair to say that Nick has been a relatively antagonistic person towards Christianity for the better part of his life. And then he had two very tragic things happen to him. And he would describe those things not as being good, but ultimately as being gifts to him, because they led him to faith, to belief in God. And so he's kind of done this really interesting thing now. He's almost turned into a public theologian. He's got this thing called the Red Hand Letters, and he's got these millions of unbelieving or agnostic people that are following him, and they're asking him for advice on how to live their lives, and he's responding with these very pastoral letters. It's really interesting. But one of the things I love about Nick is that he remains a true artist. His music, his performance is rooted in the highest value of art and not in evangelism. He's not all of a sudden found faith in like, oh, now I'm going to be a Christian artist because whatever it is they're playing on K-Love is what I should be doing with my life. He's like, no, I've always been an artist. I will continue being an artist. And being an artist and being a person of faith are not mutually exclusive, which is really good news. It's good news to know that you can be deeply in the center of whatever it is you're called to write, make, perform, and you can be a serious believer but you don't have to make Christian art. That's good news, right? Like, I write songs and I sing about God a lot, but only because it interests me, not because I'm trying to. Well, maybe I am trying to convince people. Maybe it's not right or fair to say that I'm not trying to be persuasive. I am trying to be persuasive in a direction, but I would say that I'm definitely not trying to convert. I'm not trying to bring people to some conversion Damascus Road experience. They may have one, but that's not on me. That's on somebody else. So when I'm writing, when I'm creating, I like to take my cues from Bob Dylan, from Leonard Cohen, from Nick Cave, and I would say that the artistic sensibility is the highest value that I have when it comes to my artistic pursuits. It wasn't always that way for me. I think we kind of covered this a little bit last night. It wasn't always that for me. When I was a younger man, I tried to make Christian music and follow the Christian music rules and the worship music rules, and it was fine. It was good. I think that phase of my life taught me the nuts and bolts of how to write a song. But it wasn't until I kind of left those rules and templates behind that I really came into my vocational calling, I would say. Like, I didn't really get to the place that God created me to be until I left what everybody said that I should do to be a successful Christian artist. So, I do have a couple notes for you guys today, but I want to start out with one quote in particular, and I don't have this anywhere, but I'll just read it to you. This is from Leonard Cohen. He's talking to other writers, but like I said before, this is just for people involved in any discipline of art. If it is your destiny to be this laborer called a writer, you know that you've got to get to work every day. But you also know that you're not gonna get it every day. You have to be prepared. But you don't really command the enterprise. Sometimes when you no longer see yourself as the hero of your own drama, expecting victory after victory, and you understand deeply that this is not paradise, we somehow embrace the notion that this veil of tears that is perfectible, you're not going to get it all straight. I found that things get a lot easier when I no longer expected to win. If you understand that, you abandon your masterpiece and you sink into the real masterpiece. You have to write down what you are going to abandon. So, in essence, what he's saying, at least the way I interpret it, is if your vision for your artistry is perfection and victory, then you probably won't get to work very often. But when you embrace this lifestyle of being a laborer, I love the fact that he used the word laborer. It feels very real to me. I want to say this. This is a funny thing. I've had this realization lately. So what I am in particular is I'm a middle-class musician. So, and what that means to me is that I didn't actually know this world existed before, and I love that it exists, and I'm telling you this because it is so hopeful. There's actually never been a better time in all of human history to be an artist than right now. And the reason is the internet. The internet and social media has given rise to the creative class known as middle class or lower middle class musicians. Those are people who actually make a living as laborers in their work. 15 years ago, that did not exist. If you were an artist, you had to have a label. I mean, there were indie situations, but it was a lot harder because we didn't have social media yet. But I love what Leonard's saying as being a laborer connected to the possibility of earning an income from your wares, from your words, from your songs, from your paintings, from whatever it is that you make. We actually live in the era where it's possible for almost anyone to do it. And for me, one of the keys to my success was the redefinition of success. So when I started out, all I could see was the big guys, the big names, the big guns on top. And so what I thought success was becoming one of those people, well-known celebrity, pop star status in both the secular and Christian realm. Those archetypes exist for us to see. And the bad news for us is that there can only be one Beyonce, one Taylor Swift, one whoever. So if the goal is to become one of those people, then we're lost, right? But what has happened in the events of the world is that because of the democratization of information and influence, now a person can actually be a laborer. And I know I'm talking a lot about commerce and I'm probably jumping ahead of myself, but it is pretty wonderful to be able to write, record, put your music out there, and then play some shows for anybody who will show up. It's a pretty wonderful thing that is only recently existed. And Amy and I are proof of that. This is so crazy. I last night at my show, I said I was 53 years old, and Amy said to me, "Andy, you're not 53. I don't know why I'm aging myself. I'm 51." So, but all that to say, I'm a late bloomer. I've been working on music for 35 years. So, in only the last 4 years have I been doing it as a way to pay my rents, and so it's kind of crazy. Like the rules that used to exist, they don't really apply. You don't have to be young and sexy anymore to do this. That's great news, right? If you have a compulsion to create, and you feel this urgency to get this all out in the world really quickly before your 30th birthday or whatever strange goal that you've put in your mind, the good news is you don't have to live under the shadow of that. Your creative life, your creative arc will take you the entire length of your life. And you will have lots of different chapters because as a person, you will have lots of different things to say and you'll have different places that you go. I'm not who I was when I was 25. I was pretty good at 25, but thank God I'm not that person anymore. So as you age, as you live life and as you accrue different types of, experiences in your life, you will have more to say. Amen. And I should say this morning, just put your hand up. We need to make this like a group discussion. So if you ever have a question, comment, or concern over anything that I've said, go ahead and just reach out and I will call on you. So I thought it might be kind of cool to kick the morning off with a song that I'm working on. Would that be cool? If you guys, I shouldn't say working on anymore. I just completed it. So here's the deal. I started releasing 4-song EPs rather than full-length albums because I'm trying to smash the Spotify algorithm, if you put a 10-song album out now, it's like people only listen to actually 4 songs on your record. So I'm just trying to like put these 4-song EPs out as I get them. And who's heard the Miracle Service EP? Yeah. So I was so proud of that. I was like, it felt different to me. It felt like a step, maybe not forward, but in a different direction than Poet Priest. Poet Priest was this heavy record, massive 7-piece band, and the songs were they were tough. They were very tough, and I love them. I love them. But I knew that I wanted to do something else, and so writing Miracle Service was like a balm to my soul. And then after Miracle Service, I was like, okay, now what? And so I got this idea that I wanted to write some love songs. Like as a middle-aged man, that seems like the least likely thing to do. And so I thought, oh, well, then that's why I should do it. Like, I'm a granddad. I have grandchildren. I don't, it just seems silly for somebody like me to attempt to write love songs and put them out in the world. And I was like, okay, so if that's the least expected thing, then that's what I'm going to do. Sometimes I like to give myself a challenge like that. What's the thing that, of course, Andy Squyres is going to get up and sing sad songs about God. Like that's the expectation at this point. And so we actually just finished the mixing process this week, and I'm listening to these 4 songs, and I've honestly, for all of the things that I've said out loud in the public sphere, I've never felt more naked than these 4 songs. And I realize it's because there's such a lack of irony in any of these songs. There's not very much, there are a few jokes in the songs, but it's very, very simple, maybe borderline sentimental even. And I was like, I think I'm just gonna go with it. I felt afraid, but that little bit of a fear was like, that's when I know I'm on the right artistic path. The writer, Marilyn Robinson, she's got this famous quote I love. I say it to myself all the time. She goes, I don't trust my writing unless it surprises me. And that's her litmus test. That's how she's monitoring. That's her metric. That's how she's monitoring whether she's going in a direction that feels life-giving to her and could potentially feel life-giving for other people as well. So I started writing these songs, and one of the songs even was a little bit controversial between Amy and I. Amy's like she's my editor, and I'm mostly writing about our life because it's all I know. Bob Dylan, he did this thing where he was putting on a lot of different characters. So he would write a whole album in another person's voice. He would just adopt a character and then just write in that direction. I've never done that. I'm not saying that I won't do that someday, but up until this point, the gold mine that I've been going to for material is just our life, our marriage of 31 years, and the ups and downs and raising a family and working life and all of those things. But when I brought her a couple of these songs, she was a little bit taken aback, like, should we be saying that out loud? Should you be saying that out loud, And so there was a little bit of negotiation back and forth, and but yeah, all art is risky, isn't it? Good art is risky. It should put you on edge a little bit, Does anybody have any questions so far before I play this song? No? Okay, fantastic.
Before he plays the song,
yeah.
Can I get a person to hold this wonderful small microphone in front of me? I suppose I can. Yeah, super simple. I wanted to make an awkward pause.
No, that's great.
It's also not working.
These 4 songs.
Wait, say that again?
How long did you spend
I wrote and recorded 3 of the 4 songs within the last 6 weeks. Yeah. One of them I wrote 2 years ago. It's called Utah by Tomorrow. And yeah, that one's been in the holding the barrel of the gun for a while. But 3 of the 4 written, recorded within the last 6 weeks.
So you like them enough, you're like, so sometimes I feel like I sit with a song for a really long time.
Yeah.
I'm like, do I even want to do something with this?
Yes.
And you're like, I'm going for this.
Yeah, I could feel the power of the songs pretty early on. I was shocked at the first one that I wrote. Is called Dancing in the Kitchen, and it just started as a guitar riff, and I was like, oh, that's really fun. And then it just one thing led to another, and it happened so quickly. I walked it into my producer's studio 2 days after I wrote it, and him and myself and one other musician, it was like the easiest thing I've ever recorded because it was so ready. It didn't, a lot of times you're bringing pieces of a song into a studio and you're hoping your producer can help you like make it work. This was just a fully realized song, so it was super easy to take to the finish line. But the one I'm about to play for you, the song itself is only 10 days old. And so maybe I'm jumping ahead of myself, but I just will explain the nuts and bolts of this. Last night in the Q&A, I actually mentioned this song because I was talking about writing disciplines, like not waiting for inspiration. And so on this particular song, I actually didn't even have an idea at all. I just had a little rhythm patch on my guitar that was interesting to me, and then I just started singing nonsense. And the first words that came out of my mouth were, I got no reservations. I didn't even know what that meant. I know the Anthony Bourdain show, no reservations. I know the phrase, it's an idiom, to not have any reservations. So I recognize that. But beyond that, I didn't have a chorus. I didn't even have a concept for the song. But the song ended up being called Bad Decisions, and you'll hear why. So let me just go ahead and play this. So see if I can play it anyways. I got no reservations, I got no second thoughts. I own my bad decisions, take the open shots. I never went to college, got no PhD, but I'm the smartest man in this whole world, that's a guarantee. 'Cause I know the days are golden, and I know the sorrow's true, and I know that God is with us when there's nothing we can do. And I know the leaves are falling, and I know the grass is green, and I know I love you, baby, and I know that you love me. I got no hesitation, I won't capitulate. I'm the heavyweight champion of the world, knocking out heavyweights. I've made some bad decisions, but I've got no regrets. All I got are roads I haven't traveled with you yet. Oh, I know the days are golden, and I know the sorrow's true, and I know that God is with us when there's nothing we can do. And I know the fish are swimming, and I know and I know the fish are swimming in the deep blue sea. And I know I love you, baby, and I know that you love me. Living in a trailer, sooner or later, baby number 2 is gonna come. Maybe someday we will settle down and stand still. Maybe someday we will get a dog. Well, I wrote an average poem, tried to call my mom, drank a cup of truck stop coffee, read the book of Psalms, canceled all of my subscriptions, found my wedding ring, spend my life turning bad decisions into songs that I can sing. Oh, I know the days are troubled, and I know the world's cold, but I know that God is turning every trial into gold. And I know the leaves are falling in the deep blue sea. And I know I love you, baby, and I know that you love me. Yes, I know I love you, baby, and I know that you love me. So, you know, it's simple, it's easy, it's mildly clever, it's got some good, images in it. It's a little different for me. It's like thematically, it's different for me. So, but I honestly, sometimes you need a break from yourself, you know? You need maybe your superpower is like sad, angsty songs, but that people can really relate to. But I have other parts of my life that are not sad and angsty that I want to write about occasionally. And I want to sing about them occasionally because, at my shows, you're also thinking as a performer, you're like thinking about dynamics, right? You're thinking about, well, if I just get up and I sing one sad song after another, as a solo performer, when it's just you and your guitar, your dynamic has to be embedded in your set. If you have a full 7-piece band, the dynamics are in all the different players that are playing with each other. But if you're a solo performer, your dynamic has to be in that you've got some different keys, some different types of songs. You got to have some jokes between your sad songs, all of those things. So, does anybody have another question? Yes.
So, were you just playing in an open tuning?
Yes, it's just Dad Fad.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't see your hands sitting back last night.
Yeah.
Are most of your songs in that tuning? Or?
No, most of my songs are in standard, but the last 3 songs that I did last night particularly, so Jeff Buckley I played in open D, and then the last 2 were in open C. Yeah, everything else is in standard though. I feel a little bit like open tunings are cheating, but whatever. Yes?
I don't know if you talked about this because I came in a shade late, but did you talk about kind of like an on-ramp for the middle-class musician? Any good on-ramps that you'd recommend? I guess the downside of the age is there's a lot of content out there.
Yes.
So it's like, how do you get into that zone where
yes.
you're sort of getting noticed, you're a step above?
Yes.
An album on Spotify that got 1,000 likes.
Yes. That's the hard part. Yeah. That's the really hard. The making the art is the hard part. Yeah. Well, I mean, as somebody who's working from a place of relative obscurity, I mean, I do know that I'm more well known than somebody who has 1,000 plays, but I still am working from a place of relative obscurity. And I think the thing that I spend most of my time focusing on is making the greatest art that the world has ever seen. That's what I do. I get up in the morning and I go, what is the greatest song the world has never heard yet? I need to go write that. So when that's your focus, then you put all of your energy into finding out how to write a better song. So here's a thing that I run into all the time. Because of the nature of what I do, a lot of people are attracted to what I do, and here's what they think they're hearing. They think they're hearing a person who is 100% honest. People say this to me, I'm so glad for your honesty. I'm so thankful for how honest you are in your songs. The truth is, I'm not that honest. Or I'm not as honest as I could be. Because there's a massive difference between writing the deepest, darkest secrets of your life in your journal and writing a song. So the artistic path is taking your life, your actual life, and all your inner world, which includes lots of darkness, lots of light, and all of the stuff in between, and somehow hammering that thing into something that will make other people care. Yeah? So it's not enough that you're suddenly brave enough to write your deepest inner thoughts. That does not get you in the door of somebody's care. Yeah? Like you said, I hate to bring it to the point of competition, but because there is such a flood of content, I hate to say that word even, but this is the reality. The content piece it makes it harder for actual artists to cut through all that noise. But it's fine. It's just something for us to complain about, right? I mean, I wouldn't be happy without something to complain about, you know? But that's the, I would say that's the pressure that we need as people. We need some sort of pressure working against us in order for us to do great work. You got to get rid of the idea that you're just waiting for your life to make perfect sense and your house to be clean enough for you to be able to actually do work. You can't do it. Like the bulk of my life that I spent writing songs, we had 6 children in our very small house running around like screaming banshees. I didn't have a study. I worked in the corner of the living room, and my children they were just out of control people. They did not have a vision for having a clean house the way Amy and I had a vision for it, you know? They didn't have a vision for quietness, you know? We were just like, all right, we just got to make this work, you know? So, yeah, so I think that the path is hard, and it will take a while. Yeah. But if you're sensing that your music or whatever it is you're doing has not found an audience yet, it may be an issue with the internet, but it also may be an issue with your actual arts. Yeah. So, but I do know that there are plenty of geniuses out there whose work is so good that almost nobody can understand it. You know, and like I have some friends in Nashville who are very well-known musicians, and this one friend of mine says to me recently, Andy, here's what you are. You're the artist's artist. It's like, oh, thanks for nothing. Like, there's 12 people in Nashville that are obsessed with what I do, but that just won't pay my bills, you know? So it's kind of cool to be the guy that all the influencers, it's like you're influencing the influencers, but really what you want is to build enough of an audience so that you can sell your wares, right? So, anyways, so is it okay if I dive into songwriting a little bit? I feel a little bit bad about that. Okay. How many of you know my catalog of songs? You know at least part of my catalog of songs. Okay. Let me ask you, here's a question. Could you, I know we didn't have a sound system and it was a little quiet, but could you hear a difference between that song that I just played and maybe some of my former work?
Yeah.
What would be some of the differences that you heard that you could spot?
The meter and the melody were a little bit more simplified.
Okay. So you would say a simpler meter, simpler melody.
Yeah, maybe more accessible to.
Was it maybe more familiar? Like,
more accessible to the untrained ear?
yeah, that's a really great way of saying it. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah.
Previous songs, like some of the ones you were singing last night,
Yeah.
seemed like the kind of song that you would sit with a bourbon and a cigar.
Okay.
This specifically sounded like the kind that you'd put on in your car when you're getting ready for a road trip.
That's the second road trip comparison I've had on that song, which I love. Because when I was sitting down with that song, I literally, for some reason, the most important season of the year in songwriting, at least for me, is autumn, is fall. And I hear fall on that song. I feel autumn on that song. For some reason, I have a few songs that are like that. Is there anything else that anybody spotted?
I would say that on some of your previous songs, I get more of a sense of nostalgia when I start to listen to it, and this definitely did have more of like a hopeful, like looking towards the future.
Yeah, future than a past. Yeah, that's really good. Yes.
The guitar is more rhythmic.
Yeah. I mean, it's that little country folk rhythm that's. It's nothing revolutionary. I think any good folk singer worth their salt should be able to play that rhythm. It's kind of a standard thing. Okay, so anyways, let me just do a couple things here. I want to write a few of these things down, and we'll talk through this. I guess we could call this part of this workshop "How to Write a Song," but we definitely need to do this interactively because the truth is this: I'm about to talk about the template of a song, but I can promise you, you all already know everything that I'm about to say, even if you haven't heard it articulated before. If you've listened to pop radio, country radio, Christian radio, classic rock, the template exists in every one of these genres, and we all know about it whether we do or not. Now, for those of you who are, songwriters, and depending on what stage of your writing journey that you're in, a lot of times people know the template, but when they go to write, they don't know that they're not following the template. So there's sometimes a lot of, I work with a lot of songwriters in one-on-one situations, or people want me to listen to their song, and almost, if somebody has an issue with their song, typically 9 times out of 10, the very first thing that they don't have right is the template. Yeah, so in poetry, especially in free verse, you can do anything you want. There are no rules. That is not true of songwriting. There are rules in songwriting, and you have to master them for lots of different reasons. My favorite reason is so that you can break the rules. But breaking the rules only is successful when you know the rules that you're breaking. Okay? So let's just, I don't know what I was doing. So that is right, nuts and bolts. Okay, let's just talk through this for a second. In a song, what comes first? The what?
An idea.
Well, before we get to the concepts, let's just talk about the structure. Verse. Okay, this will go real fast. And then what next? Chorus. And then what? Second verse. And then what? All right. And then what? Oh, yeah. And if it's a worship song, how many times do you sing the bridge? Okay, after the bridge, what happens? Down chorus. But anyways, if it's a pop song, you just do a chorus, and then if you're Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, after the last chorus, that's when Mike Campbell steps up and does his magic, and then it's just everybody goes to heaven together. But this is it. This is the standard. Every song that has ever existed. If it's a deviation of this, it's just a deviation, but this is the standard pop format. Put your hand up if you've never seen this before. I'm not trying to embarrass you. You've never, okay, all right, a couple people, all right, but everybody else has this internalized, right? You know this, yeah? So once you have this, though, now things get tricky. So let me ask you this question. I know I just played that song for you one time, but can anybody tell me what my song was about? No reservations.
Loving your wife.
Loving my wife. Yeah.
Making decisions.
Say that again.
Decisions.
Making decisions?
Yeah.
Okay.
The certainty of love in an uncertain world.
So that's the closest. That's really it. It's kind of like it's the admittance that everything in the world is crazy, but there's this one thing that's kind of that's the stabilizing, grounding force of our life, my life, our life together. I mean, it's a love song, but it wouldn't be enough to say that it's a love song. There's some kind of concept happening in this song that makes it different from other love songs. Who can name, just off the top of their head, a famous love song that everybody might know? Say that again?
Sentimental Reasons.
Who's that by?
Well, it's a standard jazz.
Standard jazz tune? Okay. Yes, it's a love song. It's a standard. Anybody else?
Unchained Melody.
Unchained Melody. Yes, so good.
I will always love you by the Great Whitney.
The Great Whitney. Yes. Dolly Parton and Whitney Houston. Yeah. Make You Feel My Love. Woo! Probably the greatest song ever written. I mean, a case could be made, right? When the wind is blowing in your face and the whole world is on your case, I will offer you a warm embrace to make you feel my love. That is a masterclass on saying nothing at all and everything at the exact same time.
Yes.
Because he's not making these massive philosophical statements, which Dylan is very good at doing, right? I mean, if there was a public philosopher in our lifetime, Dylan would be at the very top of the list. We know he can do it. We know he can write poetry. We know he can do flowery things. But in that particular song is like, he's showing how much restraint he can offer and how much restraint can make a song just explode into all kinds of meaning for so many different people. But the concept in To Make You Feel My Love is, it's about, it's different than my song, No Reservations. To Make You Feel My Love is about, baby, no matter what you're going through, I've got you. Yeah? We love those songs. We need those songs, right? You're the wind beneath my wings. That's not even romantic love necessarily. That's friendship love, but the concept is that we're trying to express that I'll be there for you. I'll be there for you. That's a concept. In my song, in No Reservations, it's really just like you said, the world is like sinking sand. There's all kinds of crazy things happening. But it also has a little bit of an attitude, right? It's like, I mean, I'm making this crazy claim, I'm the smartest man in the world. I'm the heavyweight champion of the world. That's not true, but it's funny because I'm saying it like it is true. Yeah, it's kind of like a put up your dukes kind of an attitude. Okay, so another place that songwriters lose their song and make their song really muddy and uninteresting is they lose sight of the theme. They lose sight of their theme. The theme of a song is what gives your song purpose. It's what gives your song its reason to exist. Your theme gives your song a reason to exist. How many of you ever have experienced this? You've written the chorus, you've written the first verse, and you're stumped on verse 2 for weeks. You know, have you been there? Yeah. A lot of times we don't know where to go because we've lost the fact or that we've lost track of what the theme of the song is. So the funny thing about that song, Bad Decisions, the word bad decision, the phrase bad decision, it's not in the chorus. That's kind of a rule, that's breaking a rule. Most songs, your title of the song should be in the chorus. But I know the rules well enough that I did a little thing where I put the bad decision phrase in all 3 of the verses. But the hook, the punchline to the joke is, and I know I love you, baby, and I know that you love me. So it's a little bit of a play in both of those directions. But does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? Are you bewildered? Yes.
What about a Roy Orbison song?
A Roy Orbison song. What about it?
He doesn't do this often.
Oh, you mean in terms of this template here? Oh, interesting.
He said he did that because he didn't want anybody to copy him.
Oh, well, you know, the thing about Roy Orbison is Roy was a master. So Roy gets to do whatever he wants. Yeah, I mean, obviously one of the greatest human voices to ever walk planet Earth. Like, yeah. Anybody else?
Oh, sorry. You had mentioned that you wrote it, or you kind of completed it about 10 days ago.
Yeah.
How long did it actually take you to do the lyric, like songwriting piece?
The lyric was pretty fast. The whole song went pretty fast. What I did was, if I can recall, I went, I've got no reservations. I've got no second thoughts. I own my bad decisions. I take the open shots. So I got no reservations. I got no second thoughts. Those came really quickly. I own my bad decisions. That was easy. But then where I started having to work was thoughts. What rhymes with thoughts? So every time you make a lyric decision on line A, or line B, actually, second thoughts would be line B, you've instantly painted yourself in a corner of which words you can say on the 4th line. Yeah, so I was like, I own my bad decisions, something not, something AI bot, something, take the open shots. Like, I don't even think you have to be a basketball fan to like that line. Like, I mean, maybe it's not even a basketball reference. Maybe it's just like taking a chance in your life. Like, you can hear it a lot of different ways. And then never went to college. I stole that from a songwriter named John Hyatt. Any of you guys are old enough to know John Hyatt? Yes, you and I, Gen X, same ilk. same musical taste. John Hyatt was big in the late 90s, early 2000s, but he had a song, Real Fine Love, in the very first line. Well, I never went to college. I did not have the luck. Stole out of Indiana in the back of a pickup truck. No education higher than the streets of my hometown. Went looking for a fire just to burn it all down. I first heard that song in like 1996, and it's never left my system. That's the power of an image, man. That's the power. But that never went to college. That was just my nod to John Hyatt, and nobody will hear it. It's for me. It's like, okay. But so here's where I really locked myself. I painted myself into this corner. I never went to college. I got no PhD. But I'm the smartest man in this whole world. That's a guarantee. So I didn't have the chorus. But I've just made this incredible statement, like, where am I gonna go? And why would I say that? I didn't even know yet that it was gonna be a love song. So this is the weird thing about songwriting, is sometimes the song leads you to where it wants to go. You know, Bono would talk about songs existing already in the heavens, and he would just go up and get them. I relate to that a lot. Like, it's not that I don't work really hard at the craft of songwriting. I have written, you know, that Cohen quote earlier, where he's talking about you have to be committed to writing a ton of bad stuff that you know you're going to have to abandon. Like, that's really the difference maker for people. Like, you're going to put in all this work only to walk away from the work because you know it's not what it needs to be yet. But you couldn't get to the good stuff until you got that other stuff out of your system. That's actually you developing instincts. That's you developing your guts. Does that make sense? Yeah. But I don't know. Oh, okay, so then the next line into the chorus, 'cause I know the days are golden, and I know the sorrow's true, and I know that God is with us when there's nothing we can do. That actually all came very quickly. I know the days are golden. I mean, I think it's a good line. I think it's a fine line, but what I really liked about it is that it sang really well. Sometimes I make lyric decisions on if a lyric sings good or not. I've heard Rick Rubin talk about this, that he would have bands they would literally build whole songs around some syllables sounding good in a certain place. I do that all the time. It's a really important way of thinking about your songs, actually. Does this phrase, is this singable? Can I pull this off live? So, yeah. And then I like the lay of the land on this song, because in verse 2, I do the same thing that I do in verse 1, where I'm like, verse 1, I was like, I'm dumb as dirt, but I'm the smartest man in the world. In verse 2, I'm the heavyweight champion of the world. Nothing can take me down. But then in verse 3, I get totally pedestrian, like more pedestrian than in verses 1 and 2. I wrote an average poem. Well, that's true almost every week of my life. I write average poetry most of the time. I wrote an average poem. I tried to call my mom, drank some truck stop coffee, read the book of Psalms. That's all just true stuff in my life. And then I start saying things that aren't true. Canceled all my subscriptions. That's funny. That's really funny because it's not true. Yeah? I canceled all my subscriptions, found my wedding ring. But this next line is true. Spend my life turning bad decisions into songs that I can sing. Like, there's so many jokes layered on that. It's just too good. Can't pass it up. And let me say this while I'm thinking about it. We were talking about telling the truth earlier. I really want to drive this point home. you don't really want to tell the truth. It's a really nasty habit, actually. I have a friend, Chris Green. He's a theologian. He said this to me one time because I was just like, you know what's wrong? You know what's wrong with all this music and all this art out there? Nobody's telling the truth. And Chris goes, Andy, you never want to tell the truth. You want to tell the thing right beside the truth. And I think Emily Dickinson was the one, she's talked about telling the truth askew. And the reason why this is so is because storytelling is very important. The principles of storytelling are true in songwriting as they're true in movie making or playwriting or anything. Storytelling dynamics matter in your song. And if you just come out and you tell nothing but the truth, guess what you're doing? You're not leaving any possibility of surprise or change. You're like, if you're playing poker, you're basically holding your cards out so everybody can see them. And guess what that does? That makes the game not interesting. Yeah? You have to hold your cards close to your chest so that the person who is paying the $20 to come see you or streaming your stuff online or whatever, they are looking to be surprised. Like Marilyn Robinson said, I don't trust my writing unless it surprises me. Is what you're saying, is it pregnant? Is it bursting with the possibility of a human being being surprised? It doesn't mean you have to make them feel good. It may mean that you're disrupting the way they're thinking about something. I have a song, I did it last night, Before You God. Conceived in anger, born into a rage, raised by wolves who fed me on the injustice of the age, yes. My mother left me outside a stranger's door. She heard a howling wind and could not refuse it anymore. Do you know what's happening in that song? Probably not. There's so much surprise being embedded in those lines. It could be about your life, it could be about your neighbor's life, it could be about anybody's life. But I'm not giving away, there's a lot of details, but I'm not giving the story away. And the other thing that's surprising about that song is that where the Christ character sits is not where you would expect him to be. Before you, God, I am opening my heart. I know you did not expect me. I'm a thief in the night. In the Bible, who's the thief in the night? Yeah. So I'm swapping the characters. It's surprising. It's actually downright offensive to some people. Some people do not appreciate that song. And I get into arguments with people about it. But, it's okay. It's all right. People can be upset. Yes.
Do you think that part of the reason a lot of Christian music is not very good is it's so didactic in nature?
I definitely think that. I think that 100%. I have some friends, every song they send me, it is telling a moral tale, but that everybody already knows what's coming. So, yeah, it's so interesting. I know Josh is a big fan of Flannery O'Connor. If you're a student of literature, Flannery, Southern writer, female, early, mid 20th century, devout believer, Catholic. She's the one who famously said, if the Eucharist is just symbolic, then to hell with it. Like she was a deeply devoted follower of Jesus Christ. If you picked up a good man is hard to find, you would not necessarily come away with that conclusion. It's about a serial killer. And her use of violence and her abject portrayals of rejection and isolation in her characters at as far as I've read her, it really takes the wind out of my sails. It's like getting punched in the stomach. But I would say that her gospel witness is more faithful than the person who writes like they live in some bubble world of unreality, you know, where the details are, like people have problems, but they're very sanitized. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a subculture that's been created.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like even I mean, I said it last night, it's totally unfair to pick on Christian music right now. So I don't want to spend my life doing it, reacting against it, but it's like we never talk about the specifics of our lives in those songs. We sing about storms all the time. Storms and valleys. And those are like representative words that they're like little triggers. We all like, oh yeah, been there. Been there in the dark valley, the shadow. And nobody's like, yeah, I was down over in the liquor aisle. I keep looking for you in the liquor aisle. We keep passing each other in the liquor aisle. You know, like, I mean, I don't really go to liquor aisles that often. That's not my thing. But I knew putting it in that song was going to be, it was going to be disruptive for some, but it was going to be a balm for others, because he used the word on-ramp earlier. That was like an on-ramp, or like a mirror, or like, oh, this guy's not trying to teach me a lesson. He's not trying to give me a principle for having a better life. He's making art, which is really what you're essentially doing, is you're trusting your audience to not be dumb as dirt, which is what I feel like is the expectation within a lot of the, you know. You know what's interesting? Amy and I, we had a long drive 2 days ago, and we were, as one does, flipping through the radio stations. And we landed on a country station and didn't know it. We thought we had landed on the contemporary Christian station. The two worlds have now, the gap is not there anymore. So I don't even know that it's an issue within the Christian subculture. I think there's this thing going on within the greater culture that the concepts that can be talked about are, on either Christian radio or country radio, making it through a valley, making it through a storm, and trucks, and girls with in t-shirts and jean shorts, and beer, all the normal stuff. You can't go wrong. Trucks and beer. I mean, let's be honest. But does every song have to be about that? That's what I'm saying. It's like, I would be even cool with like one or two Christian songs about storms and valleys, but does every song have to be that way? That's where we've gone wrong, I think. Yeah. So, Christian trucks is the next step. Yes, that's it. Christian trucks.
The piano bar is always that 90s country is either domestic violence or trucks and beer.
That's interesting.
I mean, we can do a whole hour set of songs that are just about domestic violence.
I think about Martina McBride's with Independence Day. Yes. She burned her husband in the house to death. I kind of love it.
I mean, there's a lot.
There's a lot. Yes.
Goodbye, Earl.
Yes. So that has all been sanitized out, which is very, very interesting. So maybe what we're talking about, even with our making of the art, isn't even about like a call to the necessity of believers, Christians, making good art for the sake of the Christian subculture. It could be an issue for the sake that the whole world needs good art, good music, good, some type of faithful representation of. This is funny. I go to this little church. I love my people. I love them to death. They are my people. I have been marked by these people. I'm not leaving them. I don't disagree. I don't agree with a lot of what most of the people think, but they're my people. When Cherry Blossoms came out in 2015, for those of you guys who know that record, it's very tame. It's not that hard. It's not that hard of a record. I literally had people in my church questioning whether I was a Christian or not because of the things I'm saying on that record. I mean, what nobody should know. Making love with my true companion. Hope is the thing that we abandon. Driving across a desert canyon, trying to get back home. I went to the Lord with a bow and arrow, tried to shoot him down with a song of sorrow. But love is not a thing that we can borrow. It costs you blood and bone. Like, that to me is just this beautiful, faithful rendition of some shit we were going through. And people are literally losing their minds because I've articulated like a moment of hopelessness, or I've articulated the fact of married people being in the bed together or whatever, all the things that human beings do. Like, God forbid we say any of that stuff out loud, But yeah, so all that to say, like, you can say the least offensive thing, but to somebody it could be the most offensive thing. So that's why being an artist is hard, because you kind of have to be up for that, right? You kind of have to be up for being rejected in a way. Like, being misunderstood is a common thing that I go through all the time. Like, people are like, let me tell you this one story. I'm in Austin. I'm in a living room full of college kids. There's like 80, 85 college kids packed into this room. The AC goes out. It's middle of summer. I'm thinking, I'm gonna play a 15-minute set and then we're leaving. But those kids were not feeling the heat. They were there to have a good time. That show went on for 90 minutes, if not 2 hours. Afterwards, Amy's selling t-shirts at the merch table. I'm standing in the back, and this guy comes up to me and he goes, "You don't know who I am, but 4 years ago I saw you in Kansas City and I walked out of your show because I thought you were the most ridiculous person I'd ever heard." He goes, "Your songs were dumb. They made no sense to me. And frankly, I just thought you were ridiculous." And he goes, "After that show, the next week, my life came to a screeching halt, and everything that I held dear was slammed against the wall, and I lost everything. And all of a sudden, your songs made perfect sense." So, don't go to an Andy Squyres show is the moral of that story. No, but in all reality, what I'm really trying to say is, your songs don't need to be for everybody all the time. And they may be rejected because somebody's just not ready for it. And maybe someday they will find it again. And that's really important that you guys know that the thing that you're doing, the thing that God has called you, the thing that He's put in your hands to be faithful with, it's not necessarily, it doesn't need to be for everybody all the time. There are artists that are making music like that. Taylor Swift, she is writing songs for everybody. We love her. We are Team Tay-Tay over at my house. We love her. But that's not what we're doing. We're doing something else. And so for you, you just have to kind of like, you have to realize what it is God has asked you to do. So I do want to talk a little bit about aesthetic and style and then tone. These are all kind of maybe one thing together. I think a lot about aesthetics, whether it's in my music or whether it's in my books, whether it's in my Instagram posts. I I've kind of developed, I'll go ahead and use this very crass term, branding around the common and the absurd. I think you can hear it in my songs, you can hear it in my writing. I think this may go to this gentleman's question earlier about getting your art to pop. One of the ways you can do that is that you can develop a look, a sound, an articulation that doesn't necessarily look like all the other people that you're maybe you're in a world or some type of orbit. You know, your aesthetic matters. Your production choices matters. Even the stylings of your songs matter. And while I'm thinking about it, I do want to say this. You guys should know that you don't have to be original to do what I'm talking about. A lot of times people get paralyzed because they feel like they don't have an original idea or an original concept. You should become expert. What's it called when you're stealing from somebody? Derivative. Plagiarism. Become plagiarists. You guys should become expert plagiarists. And what I mean by that is Bob Dylan wrote Hard Rain's Gonna Fall and Times They Are A-Changing when he was 20 years old. That should not happen. That should not happen. He was too young to be writing songs that good. But what he did prior to that moment was he ingested almost the entire American folk canon within his teens. He memorized it. He played every song. He could play them all by heart. So he wasn't just going off into the void going, oh, I think I'm going to write Hard Rain's Gonna Fall and Times They Are A-Changing because I'm a genius. He had already ripped off the entire American musical canon, at least in the folk and country western genres, and internalized them so that when he turned a certain age, those songs just started pouring out of him. So all that to say, you might find an artist that you're attracted to that you just need to rip off for a while. I'm not saying you need to go put out exact replicas of their songs, but that's how I have learned. I have studied my heroes and I have paid close attention to what they were doing. If you listen to the Poet Priest record, in some ways it reflects Nick Cave very closely in aesthetics. Like, Nick Cave's work is bombastic. It's got massive highs and deep lows. I would say that Nick Cave is melodramatic in some ways. I think the Poet Priest record is melodramatic. I can't listen, it's not background music. I can't listen to it that often. I have to be in a space where I'm like, okay, maybe today I just need to be super angsty and I don't know, go to a dark place. Let's put this record on, But that would actually be really important. Can you tell the tone difference between a song like Before You God? Conceived in anger, born into a rage, raised by wolves who fed me on the injustice of the age. My mother left me outside a stranger's door. She heard a howling wind and could not refuse it anymore. Is that a little bit different than never went to college, don't got no PhD, I'm the smartest man in this whole world, that's a guarantee? Is there a tone difference? Yeah. They're pulling from two different emotional places. Your song will have a tone. Your essay will have a tone. Whatever the thing is, you need to recognize what this is on whatever piece that you're working on and stick with it. You need to develop an aesthetic or a style for your song, for your album, for your whatever it is that you do. The people that really, go forward with their artistic work, they've got these types of things nailed down. Yes?
You mentioned earlier, when you master the rules, you can start breaking them. Based on that board right there, would you say most of the time that breaking a rule on the right side would more or less have to be in service of the left side?
Well, that's a great way of putting it, but yes. Yeah. Yeah, are you saying breaking a rule on this side in service of one of these things? Yeah. No, that's a really good way of putting it. I think I saw a hand over here. Yes.
This aesthetic style is a place where I kind of struggle because I'm like classically trained in piano, but I grew up in a small country town. Then in college, I studied musical theater and jazz, and I've been a dueling piano bar player for 15 years.
Oh, yeah. Well, that is an aesthetic.
So like the songs I write, one person will be, I'll write a country song and then I'll write a musical theater song. And then
Yes.
I'm like, I love this jazz standard song.
Yeah.
Chord progression. I'm going to write a song over this chord progression. So I just wonder, like, is that my aesthetic style? Or do I take, like, my jazz songs and I put them together and do a jazz record? And then I take my musical theater songs and I put them together and do, like, musical theater. You know what I'm saying? And then I put my rock songs.
Yeah.
It's, like, fun to write, like, in 80s rock because I play
Yes.
so much 80s rock at the piano bar. I'm like, I want to write a song like Journey, or like I want to write, like, I'm going to do that thing, or like Chicago.
Yeah.
Or is it like my aesthetic is like every song they're like, oh, that kind of sounded like this, and they don't know what they're going to get from me, or is it better to just?
I like categorizing types of songs. Like Miracle Service is one of the reasons why I've got 3 EPs coming out, or 2 more after Miracle Service. Those 3 different EPs, they're divided by concepts, okay? And I would say that the aesthetic will be different on all 3 of them as well. So I think you don't have to be an artist who is just doing one thing, but I think if you're delivering an album, I think it's helpful to group your dueling piano songs on one record, and then do your theater songs on another record. Mike.
I wonder if sometimes, like, I've heard it talked about, like, copy your favorite artist.
Yeah.
Sing like Sufjan as close as you can.
Yeah.
Then sing like John Foreman as close as best as you can. Keep rotating those things. I wonder, to her point, if you keep doing those things as best as you can until they start to blur.
Yes.
Your own voice.
Yes.
That's where originality happens.
Yes.
You become, all of a sudden, nobody says you sound like Sufjan anymore.
Totally.
You sound like yourself.
So good.
Finding your voice. So I wonder if, like, pushing into all those things and letting those things blur.
Yes.
Could be your own secret.
That is such a good point. And I will say this, I don't feel like I'm much of a singer. Like, I don't, when people are like, hey, all the vocalists put your hands up, I'm not doing that. I don't feel like I'm a singer. And I think maybe there's been some years that it's been really hard for me to listen to my own voice. But I am happy to report that I am now owning my voice. And that, to me, that feels like wonderful growth and like kind of being set free a little bit to just be me instead of trying to be an echo of all the heroes that I have, you know? And so I really appreciate that point, because I think the artists that you love are your jumping off place, but you're not trying to become them, because that can never happen, right? So, yeah, it is really interesting. I have felt pretty insecure about certain things within my artistry that I feel like I'm just now going, oh no, It's okay. It's okay that you sound like that, you know? You might not be for everybody, but you might be for somebody, you know? That's a really hard, it's a hard road, but it's worth traveling on, you know?
Tom Waits, that's for sure.
Say that again?
You're no Tom Waits.
I'm no Tom Waits, yeah. I'm kind of thanking God for that, actually. I love Tom, but I can only take his voice so long. Does anybody else have anything they want to share? That was a really good comment, Mike. Yes?
I had a question about word choice. Because earlier you were talking about the bad decisions being locked in to finding a word that rhymes.
Yes.
With odds. But you don't always do that. Because I'm thinking about Baja Blast. You rhyme go to the mall with get a Cinnabon.
Yes.
So how do you determine if a song needs a true rhyme or just an approximation?
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I often use imperfect rhymes, but in that moment, the song is already all over the place. That's not a tight, lean song. That is there's just so much happening in that song. That song breaks all of the songwriting rules. There's no true chorus. It's called Baja Blast, but the word Baja Blast is used in verse 1 and in verse 3. And in the choruses, what's happening in those choruses? They're not even choruses, really. And there's not any repetition. In a good pop song, there's repetition. But let's be honest, I'm not really a pop songwriter. I utilize some pop tricks, but it's not really the thing that I love to do the most. But I would say in that case, rhyming go to the mall with get a Cinnabon it's like a weird rhyme for sure. But the absurdity of that whole picture alleviates the imperfection of the rhyme. So that was a great question. Yes?
Could you expound a little bit on the bridge and its purpose?
The bridge? Yeah, the bridge of a song. The bridge is like it's the thing that nobody wants to talk about. But everybody needs to talk about it. Okay.
They're so bad.
Most of the time, the bridge is not worth existing. Yeah. So the reason why a bridge exists in a pop song is to give your ears a rest. So in comedy, you have the setup and the punchline. In music, you have the tension and the release. What the songwriter wants you to do is they want you to care about the chorus. They want you to keep singing that chorus. And so what they do is that they introduce a middle eight. The technical term for this section is called the middle eight. And what it's supposed to do, to your ears at least, is introduce something sonically that will want you to get back to the chorus. But a lot of times you can tell that the writers didn't know what to do. So they were lazy and they said to themselves, oh, nobody will notice. They're just trying to get us back to the chorus anyways. Okay, so let me tell you what I do with the bridge. Okay, my rule for a bridge is that the bridge should be better than the chorus. Okay? I love a bridge that's better than the chorus. I actually don't think you should put a bridge in your song if it's not better than the chorus. You could actually think about your bridge like, I'm gonna write another chorus. Maybe you just rename this chorus 2. I mean, in your brain, like, I'm gonna write another chorus that's gonna be so baller, it's gonna make everybody forget about the first chorus. But not really, because the first chorus was gonna be so good that you just love getting back to it. Let me, so Miracle Service, Driving, this is the bridge. Driving to the, no, here's the chorus. Dash me on the rock of ages. Let me break as darkness rages. Anything to feel your love again. So this song it's about maybe the end of a person's cynicism, maybe getting over just being down and out in your relationship with God. So knowing that in my world, in the world of Andy Squyres, that the rule is that the bridge has to be better than the chorus, how could I do that? I was asking myself the question, how could I do that? Well, I could basically write a book and put it in the middle of my song. I could write the great American novel in the bridge and put it in my song, in my little pop song. And so that's what I did. I was just like, I don't know that it's melodically catchier than the chorus, but I think it was like so interesting lyrically that people wanted to get to it. So, plant yourself a garden. No, plan for Armageddon. I think that's funny. That the line of the bridge, first line is plan for Armageddon. That's great to me. Like, that just messes with everybody's eschatology, whatever it is. It's like, I'm poking the bear at the very beginning of it. Okay, so plan for Armageddon, plant yourself a garden, gas in California, $6 a gallon, never mind the future, turn off your computer, the side effect of faith is you get a sense of humor, eat a bowl of Fruit Loops, take your kids to youth group, hang out with your boys in the summer on the front stoop, pray with me and Terry, call your stepdad Gary, let him off the hook for having dreams that he miscarried. Dash me. So it's funny, but it moves the story along. It's still embedded in that kind of desert town aesthetic that you see at the very beginning of the song. Like, I tell the story of that song most nights before I play it. I tell a little story of how I arrived at that song. But even if I didn't tell you the story of that song, you could probably feel the desert that's going on, the desert town where the miracle service moment took place. And I interweave that aesthetic into the bridge as well. Yes?
How many lines are in the bridge?
Well, I had a lot of lines. I had double the amount of lines that you would normally need. That wasn't a middle 8, that was a middle 16. Yeah, but that's, again, breaking the rules because I know the rules. So once you know the rules, then you can embellish, you can restrict, you can do a lot of different things. But that to me is a good example of a bridge that works, at least to me. It might not work for somebody else. Oh, here's one of my favorite bridges of all time. This is now considered classic rock. It feels so weird to me that U2 is now like old man's music. But I remember the very, very first time I heard Beautiful Day. And in the bridge of Beautiful Day, see the colors. I got to look that up real quick because it's Beautiful Day.
See the world in green and blue.
See the world in green and blue. See the colors right in front of you. What is it?
I thought it was China.
China. See China right in front of you. Hold on. Let me look this up real quick. U2, Beautiful Day. U2 Beautiful Day lyrics. This bridge is massive. See the world in green and blue. See China right in front of you. See the canyons broken by a cloud. See the tuna fleets clearing the sea out. See the Bedouin fires at night. See the oil fields at first light. And see the bird with a leaf in her mouth. After the flood, all the colors came out. The very first time I heard that, I didn't even know what it meant, and it didn't matter. There was so many images. I think back to your earlier point about so much of Christian music at least being didactic, trying to teach something. This is the exact opposite of that. This is using beauty to enthrall and draw. You know, it's like, that's what I want to do. That's kind of what the bridge on Miracle Service is doing. I'm not teaching anything. Although the joke at the end lets your stepdad off the hook. Let your stepdad Gary off the hook for having dreams that he miscarried. That's kind of like taking the didactic model, but like doing it in a tongue-in-cheek way. You know, I think you can get away with that, you know. I've had so many people ask me, so who's Gary? Do you have a stepdad named Gary? You know, like, I don't. I do have a stepdad, but his name's not Gary. But like, it doesn't even matter if you have a stepdad or not. We all have some kind of like character in our lives who needs to be let off the hook for something. It could be us even, but like that character. This is so funny how I arrived at stepdad Gary. My daughter Natalie's best friend Hannah has a stepdad named Jacob, but she calls him Gary just to tease him. So that's how Gary made it into the song. Yeah. So he came up to me after the album came up. He's like, "Am I Gary?" And I was like, sorry. But what I didn't know is she got that from a Jimmy Fallon skit, Stepdad Gary. Yeah. So, yes.
So if you have a song and the bridge isn't better than the chorus, do you just let the song be without a bridge, or do you take it and workshop it and find a bridge that works, or do you let it just be a song without a bridge?
Well, you can do that, or what a lot of people do is they put some type of musical interlude in there, which I'm not against. You know, I think sometimes a musical break is really important in a song, especially if you have some good musicians that are playing on it. Like, you know, great guitar solo, can't get enough of those, you know? Yes?
Would it be like a kind of a Selah moment like in the Bible?
On the bridge, I think that's a good parallel for sure. Yeah, like a moment of pause, a moment of resting. Yeah, it's a built-in rest. Yes?
Do you collaborate with other writers?
Well, I don't collaborate with other writers for my material, but I do for their material. Yeah.
Did you land, like, it's just because you feel like your process is...
Yeah. I mean, so in Nashville, co-writing is a really big thing. There's almost not a song that's published in Nashville that's not a co-write. But that dynamic doesn't exist for artistic reasons. It exists because of financial reasons. So publishing is where all the money is now. So that's why every worship song that you see in the top 10 of CCLI has 4 or 5 writers. So here's what they're counting on. They get 5 superstar contemporary worship leaders. They all get in a room. They write the dumbest song you've ever heard. And then they all put it on all their records, and then it goes to the top of CCLI, and they all become millionaires. That's the most cynical version of that, but it's also true. This is real. This is what happens. So what happens is that the art goes way down, but because in Christian worship music at least, function is more important than form, or function is more important than the beauty, I should say. So the things that they're thinking about is, can a bunch of people in a room sing this song together the first time they hear it? Yeah? So, which makes me so sad for a lot of different reasons. And so that'll be another workshop we do another time. So, but what's interesting is I'll get invitations from prominent people in that industry. Hey, Squyres, we want you to come write with us. I go, and it always ends up becoming very disappointing for everybody because they like what I do in my world, and they think they want to bring it over into their world. They're like, oh, we need some of the spicy over here. But then when they try to imagine themselves singing it on a stage in a church, they won't do it. They will not do it at all. So everybody is playing it safe, which is okay. I get it. People have families to feed and BMWs to wax, So.
Are you inserting a lot of like sloppy wet kiss type lyrics in your music?
Well, I would say that what I would be challenging for the most part is I would say, well, you have just settled for the easiest line, and maybe we should write 12 more lines before we settle. So it's more like how much work people are willing to do. And what those, like if they already know the score though. They already know they're not going to take a risk or a chance. They're trying to get the most churches to sing their song, not the least amount of churches. So I believe that Dead Horse should be sung in every church in America. Like it would usher in a massive revival. But it will never happen. And that's okay. That's really okay. Yes.
So do you have any advice, say like it's easier for you to get choruses and bridges, but then you have no idea what to do when you try to write verses with it?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on how to get there?
How to make the verse match up for the chorus and stuff?
What to even do?
Yeah. Well, there is only one answer to that question. It is to put your butt in the seat, to take the pen out, and you write and you write and you write. You write a ton of bad stuff. I think a lot of times the work doesn't get done because what we're imagining is, okay, the idea just hasn't hit me yet, and I'm just gonna walk through my life and wait for that idea to hit me. But in reality, that's not how it works. You have to go to your studio, your desk, wherever it is you actually do work. And Anne Lamott, the famous writer, she would always say, butt in chair, butt in chair. That's like the number one rule of writing, butt in chair. And you have to write and write and write, because within all of that output, even if it doesn't feel good to you, you have to expose yourself to those bad feelings. It's to me, really successful artists are people who are willing to do something poorly before they do it well. So you've got to just write a ton of really bad verses, And so that's how I would say it to you. Yes.
Verses are 4, right? How many lines are choruses?
Well, there's not really a rule as to how many lines a verse or a chorus should be. So if you listen to some of the old Motown hits, a verse could be one line repeated over and over. My girl, my girl, my girl, talking about my girl, my girl. I mean, the talking about is almost superfluous. They're trying to get from that note to that note. They're just repeating my girl over and over, but it's like it's an earworm. It just gets embedded in your brain. So there's different frequencies of songwriting. Bob Dylan's writing 12 lines in his chorus, and the Supremes are writing one word. So you just have to make the chorus memorable. But in a verse, I think a standard verse would be 2 lines, 2 to 4 lines. Yeah. I mean, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Their rule was, don't bore us, get to the chorus. Don't bore us, get to the chorus. That's what they said over and over and over. Yes?
So I'm a kind of, maybe it's a little bit of a long question.
It's great.
What's your thoughts on it? So I don't do a lot of writing.
Yep.
But when I like feel inspired, I
Yep.
write. I actually build houses.
Okay.
I don't musician or
Yep.
anything for money. So a year and a half ago, I wrote a song about my dad who's passed away.
Okay.
And recorded it, put it out there.
Yep.
My mom is obviously part of the story.
Yep.
And it's a very like snapshots of their life.
Yes.
And the dichotomy of his existence here when he belonged in the mountains.
Yeah.
He's kind of he's supposed to be, in my brain, he's supposed to be trout fishing every day of his life, but he's here
Yes.
as a preacher, you know.
Yes.
So it's like an interesting story. So I released it, and I say released it, I put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Everybody that called me had identified with different parts of this story in completely different ways.
Yes.
Not that they were wrong.
Yes.
It's different than what I thought.
Yes.
So I'm talking to my uncles and my dad, my mom, or not my dad, my mom, and my mom's like, you need to write stuff like this about your grandfather. Who actually, my grandfather passed away this morning early.
Oh my goodness.
He was on. I mean, it's very sad, but he was 92.
Ready to go. Lived a long, good life.
It's been weeks that it's been like.
Yes.
And so I've been thinking more about like writing about that.
Yeah.
But it's the honesty factor.
Yeah.
'Cause my mother idolizes my grandfather.
Yes.
And I know stories. The most interesting things I know about my grandfather. Since none of you know him, I'll just say this. When he told me that he shot himself in the leg in the Korean War as an MP.
Yes.
And I was like, did you get a Purple Heart for that? And he's like, no, they never found out about it.
Wow.
Because he wouldn't tell his superiors that
Yes.
he stitched himself up, and
Yes.
like that's an
incredible story. Yes.
you know. And I was like, I wonder if this is true, because
Yeah.
he's an old man when he's telling me this, and he's like scratching this spot on his leg where he
Yeah.
hit it.
Yeah.
And my mom's like, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? It didn't happen? And I asked my uncles, and they're like, yeah, when I was a teenager, my dad told me that story. He said not to tell his wife or his daughter. And I'm like, but that's like this man that like preserved this image of himself, and he was a good man.
Yeah.
He wasn't perfect.
Yes.
But he preserved this image of himself for his whole life. And I'm, in my 40s whenever I hear about
Yes.
this thing, and I'm just like
Yeah.
And like, how do you like? Like that honesty without like impugning the nature
Yes.
of the person you're writing about.
Yes.
Because I think that the things that are most interesting about people
Yes.
are the things that they don't, like that they disclose to you in private.
For sure. Yes. So how do you deal with that? Well, first of all, I want to say the story that you were telling about your dad and the tension between living down here and being a preacher when he should be up catching trout in the mountains, just you saying those words made me interested in that story, because I think that's a tension that almost every person in this room could relate to. Like, I have to live in my existence here, but I should be over there. That's a common story. So the specifics don't have to be the same. A lot of times people think they want to generalize their story so that more people can feel it, but the exact opposite is true. The more details that are specific to your story make it more universal. It feels counterintuitive, but that's really the way this works, okay? But then to your second part of what you're asking, I deal with this all the time. So my poor mother, okay? My parents divorced when I was very young. And so it feels like I've been getting over that thing my whole life. So much of my formation is derived from that decision that they made. And the complications of it were very human. My mom left my dad, but I don't have a good relationship with my dad, but I have a good relationship with my mom. But my mom was the one who did the betraying. So there's all of these family dynamics that are very painful in real life and in real time. But that's my story too. It's not just their story. And those are the things that I have to write about. So when I'm writing these things, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, these poor people are going to hear this. What's going to be the effect? And sometimes I have to like pull back. I have to pull back because I can't expose them too much. But at the same time, I know that there's all these people out there in the world who have a similar version of that story that feel so alone. And when you are willing to sacrifice your own privacy in a telling of that story, you just never know the healing power that it can have for somebody else. And like my poor mom, like in Before You God, she's thrown under the bus in the very first verse. You know, my mother left me. I say those exact words. My mother left me outside a stranger's door, which was my dad's house, because she heard the howling winds and could not refuse them anymore. So my mom's she's an empath. She cries a lot. She regrets her divorce bitterly. I mean, 50 years later, we're still talking about it. It's very interesting. But there's not one answer to it. You just kind of have to like negotiate with your people. Like, am I willing to pay this price? Is it worth it? Can my family manage through some kind of exposure on this?
And I can't write the song she wants me to write.
Nor should you. Nor should you. That's I would say that is counter to what it would mean for you as an artist to like hold up. Well, that would be propaganda.
Right.
And propaganda is not what artists do. You know? I think in fact artists are kind of battling propaganda or the propagandization of the world. Like everybody wants to fit everything into like these discernible, understandable sound bites that make complete sense to the mind. But we all know in the background our stories are much more complicated than that, you know? So I know I didn't give you a good answer, but yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And ambiguity. You do that in your music?
Yeah.
Dylan did that?
Yes.
Sufjan Stevens, specifically on the Illinois album.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes.
You don't know what's fact, you don't know what's fiction.
That's right.
And that's, I think, part of the power of songwriting.
Yeah, that's right.
You can throw in fiction to fact.
Absolutely.
More, probably.
For sure, and you can combine the two. So that could be an answer for you, is that you could tell one story in the middle of a bigger story. Most people won't even recognize it. You know what I mean? So yes.
You could even use the tension of this is what I'm gonna honor this man's life, but people don't know this part, in this way. Or you could use the tension of that. My mama told me, right, whatever. You could use the tension in the way that she's listening to it. She's like, oh, she's being even faced with like, oh, there's more to this than I saw and I wasn't willing to see.
Yeah.
And you could use the tension of just the situation of writing your song to write your song.
I've got this song idea right now for a funeral eulogy, and I've been to 2 funerals recently where the person who was being buried in the ground was eulogized in a shockingly frank way. I saw this wife get up and say, my marriage wasn't happy. I thought, wow, what a time, what a moment to like let everybody know. Like, I'm pretty sure people knew, but she was just like, she wasn't being bitter, she wasn't angry, she was just like, we had a very hard life together, and in some ways this is kind of a relief. I was like, my jaw hit the floor, like, and then I was at another funeral recently where this man's brother gets up and he's like, old Bill was a real bastard for most of his life. And we were all like in the room going, wow, like, all of that to say, it's like, it's so, the human condition is so fascinating how how people to their graves are not dealing with these issues for fear of one kind or another. So, you know, I think the artist's project is kind of like leading people to those places, maybe not of safety and security, but this is what I believe. The artist lets people know that they can tell the truth about their lives, at least to themselves, and if it kills them, that's okay, because God can raise the dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really the project that we're working on.
You know, what just flashed into my mind when you said God can raise the dead, about those people who are not dealing with, that's a whole song.
Yeah.
Those people who are not dealing with their life.
Yeah.
And they can be raised up.
That's
through
right.
Art and music and whatever.
That's right. That's right. That's so good. Okay. Yes.
I've heard songwriters talk about how a song would lay dormant for years.
Yes.
Before they came up with the hook.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the hook earlier. Could you expand on that?
So the hook is the main musical component that draws you in. So I think a lot about lyrics and the concepts of the song. That's my meat and potatoes, bread and butter, so to speak. But in the pop world, the hook, like, anybody familiar with Sabrina Carpenter? Yep. Yeah. You know, maybe a little hypersexualized, but still, the hooks are incredible. Like, but if you take your average Sabrina Carpenter song, just as like kind of like for the sake of dissection, I listened to this song recently. She came out with a new single called, what's it called? Man-Child. I counted 6 hooks in that song. It is a tour de force of musical ear candy. It's almost like every 8 to 16 measures, a new musical hook is introduced that keeps you coming back for more. And the most genius thing of it is, I think the song is only 2 minutes and 30 seconds long. So guess what? As soon as it ends, you hit play again. And she's racking up billions of plays. Yeah. But I mean, that's like the most highly realized version of pop music in the world. She's flying off to Sweden. That guy over in Sweden that does all those, Max, what's his name? He's like the king of crack song hooks. But that's what that is.
More musically than lyrically.
Yes, but it can be the lyric too, because I would say, like, in the rap world, the hook is often the lyric, and it's there's a rhythm to it. The hook can be a rhythm with a cadence set to it. Sometimes, you know, in rap music, a lot of it's not melodic necessarily, but there's this thing that's like, it can be the beat, but it can be the cadence of the rhythm that's being spoken. So I'll take 2 more questions.
Okay, what do you do if you wrote lots of songs in a season pass? You're like, we're ready to do something with them. Life changed, and you're like, I'm not sure. I know I'm not that person anymore. Like, and I don't necessarily see through that lens anymore. Can you throw them all out?
Yes, absolutely, throw them out. I have hundreds, I kid you not, hundreds of songs that have never and will never see the light of day. Like, my files are filled with the worst songs, the most unrealized songs, the songs that I wrote when I was on my way to a better version of myself. And I will never do anything with them, nor should I, because if I put them out, people would hear them and go, this is pretty terrible, Andy. you know? So you kind of have to like offer them to God, like the Psalms talk about the wave offering. You just wave them goodbye, you know? So I'm sorry, that's a terrible answer.
I mean, likewise, do you have certain lyrics that you're like, not sure, like that you're now well known for, and like you're like, but I gotta kind of sing these.
I don't have any of those. So my catalog that's public, I am happy to report, in all honesty, I can still stand behind every single one of my songs. There's some songs that I don't want to sing just because they're too sad. But I think like artistically they still hold up. Yeah.
Yeah, I was the girl who's writing for a church set. I have a lot of really fabulous. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I get it.
But ones that
No, that's great.
really like these.
Absolutely.
I'm not that songwriter anymore.
Yes.
Not that they don't touch like a certain demographic.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm kind of like they're not necessarily songs I can't sing anymore. They're just maybe not my style anymore.
Hey, I always think of the artistic life just like a river. It's the way we explain the Holy Spirit a lot. But that river, you don't step into the same river twice, right? It's always different water. And I feel that way about my artistic life. Sometimes some songs, like I was teasing somebody because last night somebody asked for Cherry Blossoms. It's the one song that I have, like, it's my hit. It's the song that I'm known for mostly, which makes me very sad because it's the one song that's least like the bulk of my catalog. It kills me to sing that song. Like, it kills me because it's not where I am anymore as a person. Not even as an artist, but as a person. So when I do it, I just do it for the people. All right, last question.
So a minute ago, you're talking about the difference, the juxtaposition, tension of singing truth versus singing something's truth adjacent.
Yes.
And when you're writing,
yeah,
and you come up to that line, like how do you determine, okay, this is too far, I can't actually sing this, versus, okay, this is still honest and real, but it's safe enough that people can ingest it?
Yeah, I don't think safe is what I'm trying to appropriate. I'm not trying to appropriate security into the song for the benefit of people's listening. What I'm trying to do is keep the song interesting. So you go to singer-songwriter open mic night, and there's the guy or the girl who what they're counting on is that you're gonna feel all the emotion that they feel when they're doing their song. Because they've had some kind of really beautiful experience with the song, but in essence, it's them reading out of their journal, singing their journal. And it's got none of the, it's not crackling with effective phrasing. It's just kind of like, I was so depressed and I've been dealing with suicidal thoughts for weeks, and you're kind of like, I mean, you're empathetic because you don't want a person to be depressed or suicidal, but as a listener, you're like, this is not compelling. So how could she have or he have taken this story of like suicidal ideation and made me as a listener care? She could have, he or she could have couched, they could have told a story, or they could have, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could tell a story like that in a way that would make somebody else want to listen to it. What's that famous Papa Roach song? It's one of the best songs ever written. Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing, don't give up. That makes me care about suicide. I mean, it's like, what is it about that song? It's the phrase, it's the beat, it's the sick guitar riff, So they successfully took a really hard topic and they put it in a way that people are like, I don't know what that's even about, but I want to listen to it over. That's like crack in my veins. Get it into me now, So, did I help you all?
Yes.
Thanks for coming, you guys.
You ended on Papa Roach.
Papa Roach, baby. Papa Roach.